Tate is a kickboxer. That's how he originally gained public recognition. And someone added to his record on Wikipedia a loss against Greta, saying that this took place on Twitter. It was on December 27th, and he lost to Greta Thunberg. And speaking of losses against Greta, you're not gonna believe this. So Romanian authorities were urged last year to effectively prosecute human traffickers by Greta, the group of experts against trafficking human beings. The acronym is Greta. And this prompted users on Twitter to give the following response. Someone whispering to George Bush, a second Greta has hit Andrew Tate. And then a parody account for Jerry's Pizza, which Tate had delivered during his cringe response video that went viral, revealing he was in Romania. They said, at Jerry's Pizza, we deliver swift justice. And then another one bites the crust. Just really good puns. I think Cenk will appreciate those dad jokes. And so things are getting funny, but they're also getting weirder, and things are going in kind of a dangerous direction. So Jake Shields tweeted, Andrew Tate and Greta Thunberg need to stop flirting and just bleep already, fill in the blank there. And Andrew Tate responded, she ain't ready. Just a creepy thing to say about a 19-year-old. Then he retweeted this. The world doesn't want you to be a winner. It's you against the slave trap. So this idea of the Matrix has been really big in the Andrew Tate camp, but slave trap is an interesting choice given he had 75 women forced to do labor. Then Andrew Tate decided to tweet today, the Matrix sent their agent saying that the authorities who arrested him for crimes he's pretty much admitted to doing were agents from the Matrix. Before tweeting that out, he made these ominous tweets. It's my moral obligation to try and wake you all up. When my children ask what I did during the Great Enslavement, I can tell them I helped anyone who would listen. And then this, you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. You know there's something wrong with this world. It's a splinter in your mind driving you mad. It's the feeling that brought you to me. So you should listen to what I say because the vibes are off and you can feel it. Makes a lot of sense, Andrew Tate. And he wasn't the first person to pick up on that. Watch this.
I think it's tough to be alive now. I think societal collapse is in the air. It smells like it.
Elon, of course, jumped in, tweeting this out. What if I told you the only way to escape the Matrix is to unlearn everything you've been taught and rebuild your entire belief system based on critical thought and analysis? So Elon is reinforcing this idea of some kind of Matrix. Now, I do agree, the vibes are off in the world right now in the country of the United States. And I would identify the problem to not be some invisible matrix we can't see, but the very visible billionaires that are hoarding our resources and exploiting the labor of the working class, not fighting for working people's rights as they struggle to pay their bills and get by, and politicians are bought and sold and do nothing about it. We can see all of that. We don't have to pretend that there's some global matrix. But Cenk, I want to bring you in. What do you make of the Matrix?
Yeah, I actually think that there is, to your point, Jessica, a bit of a corporate matrix and a media matrix. And so the corporate media tells you that the politicians are honest and that the billions of dollars they get in bribes don't affect them. They say these outrageous things that higher wages have caused inflation, not the $4 trillion that the Fed printed, on and on and on. Just one lie after another. And it's couched in such a way that the framing does the job for them. And so it has deluded a great number of older Americans who watch television and believe in the New York Times and Washington Post, et cetera, into thinking, oh yeah, the status quo is great. Corporate rule is wonderful. Anyone trying to change anything is dangerous. But get a load of these right wingers who then say, oh yeah, there is something screwy about this corporate matrix that we all live under. So instead, you should buy into my scams. Oh, Jesus Christ, man, there's no end, right? So Andrew Tate is like a great example of it, because He's like, oh, can you believe the Matrix is enslaving you? Dude, you're literally charged with enslaving people. They cannot leave. You're forcing them to do sex work and saying that they through threat of violence are not allowed to leave. You're doing it against their consent. It is literal enslavement, okay? And so they take something that has a kernel of truth to it, and then they twist it into an even bigger lie than the Matrix is telling you. So if the Matrix exists, it's certainly like it's supposed to be for corporate rule, and these guys are saying, no, I want to rule your life. And to Jessica's point, in his case, it's so literal. Like he published like a how-to manual on grooming online. He's like, first you flatter them, then you pretend you're rich, then you say you love them, then you do this, then you do that. And then once you have them psychologically captured, then you turn them into your sex workers. He said all of it, okay? So now you might say, hey, look, all of that, if as long as it's still voluntary, is not illegal in Romania or the US. But no, saying you cannot leave and you are held here against your will is definitely illegal. That's 100% illegal. That's 100% human trafficking, okay? And so, guys, don't believe the hype. For God's sake, they're taking you in the exact wrong direction. And but Jessica, you were also right. I did like the puns. To lighten it up in the middle, I enjoyed the puns, and I enjoyed the fact that as he was doing that cheesy response to Greta Thunberg, he had the Jerry's Pizza handed to him, and that's how Romanian authorities knew, because it's a local pizza chain in Romania. And so Greta definitely had I mean, even if it was accidental, she definitely played a role in him getting captured, which is a giant win.
Yeah, and so there's two things to this that I think are really important to touch on. The first is an element of irony, and the second is something that's scary, that we should all be sort of scared of. The irony is that like all these right wingers that have latched onto this idea of like red pilling and like the Matrix and all of these things, the Matrix was made by two trans women who I know for a fact personally hate both Elon Musk and Andrew Tate, right? So like the art that these people are looking up to, the people that created it, definitely without a doubt hate all of these people. Additionally, like some of the quotes that they use are literally a metaphor for like transness, where it's like, oh, something about the world feels wrong, and I've known it my whole life, but I can't put my finger on it. Like the whole thing is like a metaphor for like realizing you're trans, which is just deeply, deeply ironic and hilarious considering the way the right wingers use this. But then there's a scary part to this, because what Cenk said is 100% correct. And there's an element to that we really need to touch on, which is, who do they think actually controls this matrix? Who exactly? Who exactly? Because when you start to pry and you start to get like down to the bottom of things, like first and foremost, it's largely a bunch of cisgender, heterosexual white men who are terrified of losing power in society. And so they invite these fantasies where marginalized people have more power than them and are secretly controlling society. But they have to have some sort of like specific, group to point to of like, who are these secret people that are controlling the society? If it's not the IMF, if it's not the Federal Reserve, if it's not, Congress, if it's not billionaires like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, the people who are actually very obviously in charge of society, like who is it? Who is it? And you realize really quickly that they're talking about Jewish people. Like this is like an age-old anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. It's where the Great Replacement conspiracy theory comes from. It's where the whole like, oh, queer people are groomers comes from. Literally all of this has its roots in 1930s Germany. It's not subtle, it's not new, and like it only takes like a little bit of prying to these people to get to the bottom of this. And the fact that people like Tucker Carlson are spewing basically blood libel every single day, that is something that should be alarming to us. That is something that should be very alarming to everybody. And the fact that some of like the wealthiest corporations out there continue to fund Republicans that push this, anti-Semitic conspiracy theory and all of its, related conspiracy theories should be deeply alarming to us, because it tells us that in the face of a movement where people are demanding systemic changes where we don't prioritize corporations over human beings' lives, these giant corporations are more amenable to the idea of fascism and Nazism because they want to protect their profits at all costs.
Yeah, Ben, you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, I was literally gonna say that's why it always goes to these anti-Semitic tropes. That's why they target George Soros as the biggest perpetrator of all this. And they say, oh, did you know that Soros was a billionaire? So is Elon Musk. So you knuckleheads. Look, in my book that's gonna come out in 2023, I have a chapter about this. And I explain who it is and who it isn't, okay? Editor's note, not the Jews, okay? Not the LGBTQ community, not the brown man that crossed the border without $1 in his pocket. If you wanna know who, if a matrix exists, who created it, don't look down, look up, okay? Justice is Coming, book.com. We'll put the link down below, and you could pre-order if you want. But yeah, the matrix that convinces you that corporate rule is awesome is put together by corporations. Of course!
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.